I would say for young writers, especially, like a lot of art, creating art has to do with confidence and just doing it anyway. Like it's okay if it's not perfect. Certainly when I was a kid, I loved writing stories, but I was terrible at finishing them. Like I would get excited about a different one and go start that one instead.
The Wings of Fire series is an epic adventure set in a world entirely ruled by dragons. The #1 New York Times and USA Today best-selling series author Tui T. Sutherland is here to talk about their process, to also give us some guidance for those of you who have students who love the Wings of Fire series and you would like to take them through a process in which they build out their own world. Tui T. Sutherland explains exactly where they would get started. This conversation is great for fans of the series, but also just folks who, again, are thinking about how we can best teach empathy. Please welcome to the podcast, Tui T. Sutherland. Tui, welcome to the show. I'm going to start with kind of a weird question, but in knowing your work, in looking also at your social feed and watching you talk about your authorship, it dawns on me that you might agree with the following. Dogs help us as humans be more creative. Has that been true for you?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Oh, what a lovely distillation of all my feelings about the world. It's true. Now I wish I had my dogs here with me. I sent them to grandma's house for the day because I didn't want a lot of woofing in the background. But I do think so. I think that dogs, I think children, I think other books about, dogs and children, I think all help us definitely like having my dogs around is like very comforting and helps me sort of like calm down enough to focus on my writing. I feel like that's a big part of it for sure. And thank you so much for having me, by the way. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad that you are here. And yes, for sure, like dogs for me are great at helping me regulate, but they also remind me that no matter how old I get, no matter how serious I think something is, I need to value play. And I'm wondering for you in the very creative, huge, worlds that you have built, if play is something that's important for you as an author, or a playfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, keeping that sense of like wonder and joy, specifically for dogs, the way they're so happy to see you, like every time you walk into a room, I try to model that in some of my characters, just that level of like, yes, I should be this excited. But also, I feel like for kids, what I'm hoping that they do when they're reading these books is that they feel welcome to come in and play. Wings of Fire is a big world where there's, thousands of dragons. And so I want them to feel like my dragon could be in this world. I can make up a dragon. I can give it all the character qualities that I want. I can make it look however I want. And then I can put it in this giant world and it can have just as many like fun adventures and like fall in love and like do exciting things as all the ones that I'm already reading about. I do want it to feel welcoming and also like fun and exciting. I feel like that play element is so key for creativity and like inspiring young readers. So I really do hope that everyone feels like excited. I mean, I love meeting kids who have drawn their own dragons or like written their own stories. I think that I want them to find the joy in the creative process, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think mission accomplished. Tui, could you share with us some of the practicalities actually of how you go about building out a world that is as large as the one that you have done? Like, what does your desk look like? What does your process look like? And has it stayed the same? Because of course you've written so many books. So is it like you've discovered this is the way that Tui writes, or has it changed over time?
It's pretty. Some things have changed. I feel like the more you write, the better you get. So I do hope the books have gotten like stronger as I've gone along. I would say, it's funny because I'm not going to show you my desk. It is a giant disaster. And in fact, everything from like on the floor of my office is also a giant disaster. And I don't know if that's a reflection of my brain. But there's a lot, obviously, like there are times when, in the month where I'm writing like the end of a book, where it's very hard for me to like focus on conversations because I can feel that my brain is like half in a dragon world at all times. The way I sort of keep it organized is I have Word documents where it's like one for each book that is just like book 16 notes. And it's just like where I put all of the thoughts that I have, that I'm like, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to clarify what happened to this character. Here's some things I want to think about theme wise. I also have a separate document right now that's like the timeline of the history. Because one of the things that's really fun about building this world is thinking not just about what's happening now, but like what happened in the past that got them here. And that was a huge part of the first 15 books. There were these two sort of major events. One was like 5,000 years ago, and one was about 2,000 years ago. And so this book 16, we actually get to see flashbacks to a different sort of turning point in their history, which is hinted at in, I think, book 12 and in the Guide to the Dragon World. But we don't really know the answer, like what happened then. And so figuring out, like, I love that. I love trying to imagine how, what could have happened like way back in the history of this world and how it might still be affecting dragons in the present day. So that's a huge thing that's like going on in book 16 for sure.
You alluded to earlier your fans, of which you have millions. You speak to readers young and old. How do you balance having your vision or having, the map that you describe or kind of the timeline? I'm wondering, when you have such a gigantic community of readers, does that also play into actually the way that you see the series going? Or do you try to just really separate the two and stay true to the vision that you as the author have?
I think it's a little of both. That's a great question. Because I feel like whenever I get to go out and like talk to kids in person, it's so inspiring. It helps me remember like what they're excited about, like what they're still curious about, and how I need to like where I want to go back. So I think in terms of like plot and like returning characters, I listen to the kids as much as I can. But when it comes to like the themes, I feel like I as long as I'm sticking to sort of the big questions that I'm trying to answer, those are definitely coming from inside of me and like the things that I'm worrying about and the things that I'm thinking about. But they have definitely shaped like some plot points. Like I can tell you sort of a short, early on in the series, I introduced a character in book 1 named Peril, who, she can like burn things with her scales. Like anyone she touches, like it sets them on fire. And she's like this, like funny and like, but like very dangerous character that shows up in book 1. And, books 1 through 5 are like one big arc. And so I knew she was coming back in book 5. And I was like, she's kind of this, like the way you think about characters, she's exactly the kind of character who's like done stuff in the past that wasn't so great. And so like her arc should be that she sacrifices herself in book 5 to like save the heroes and atone for what she did. But I got so many letters from kids between books 1 and 5 that were like, don't kill Peril. Please don't kill Peril. We can tell you're going to. And I was like, they're so smart. And that's so funny. And like, I'm so grateful actually that they did that they reached out and said that, because possibly I would have changed my mind anyway. But because I didn't kill her off in book 5, she does come in and do something heroic. But she later got her own book, which is book 8 in the series. And it was like, I think it's one of my favorite books, like getting to go into her character and be like, it's not that easy. Like you have to find other ways to atone for what you did and like to grow as a character. And also I just love her. She's like very funny and has a lot of like big emotions going on. And so I would say the fans like saved her in a way. And so I appreciate it. I love getting to talk to kids and see like what they're most excited about, like what got their imaginations going and like where they want me to surprise them, like how they have, they see things and they're like, don't do this, don't do that. Help us. Like, we want to see, these are things we want to see, but do it your way. Like, I feel like it's always a balance, but I love them so much. Like, I feel like the kids who read these books are like very smart and very, thoughtful about them. And so like, I love getting their thoughts and their questions really to help me like think about where I want to go next.
No doubt they probably love hearing as much from you. Tui, Scholastic has done a great job actually with creating additional resources for readers who love the series to experience it in community. And it's interesting that kind of runs parallel with some of the themes that you are discussing. For someone who is unfamiliar with the series and they are actually looking for books for young people where, hey, this is going to be a really powerful community experience. Can you say a little bit more about what I've just described?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm so grateful to like all the fans. Like, I feel like there are some kids who started reading the books in like 2012 when the first one came out, who are now like young adults, right? They're in their 20s and who are still part of the fan community, like welcoming kids in and encouraging their art. Like, there are some incredible artists, who do these amazing dragons, who will like, interact with other kids on Instagram to be like, oh my God, you're amazing too. Like, I love this one. Like, keep drawing. Like, and that's one of the things I love is seeing like the range from like the current 6-year-old readers, like all the way up to like the ones that have been reading it for like 24 years, 14 years. Oh my God, my math, who are in their 20s. And so how welcoming the whole community is. And so supportive of, I hope one of the themes of the series is that sense of like, whoever you are, you're like important, that, and empathy, right? Like, empathy is the thing I'm thinking about all the time as I'm writing. I feel like that's sort of the whole point of books, is to show, is to get inside the mind of somebody else and get to understand what they're going through. And so my hope is that, that kids who come into this community are finding other kids who value empathy and who value like the diversity of stories that are out there, and the ability to like tell your own story. I can't read the fan fiction because I don't want to like accidentally steal someone's or see an idea I love and not be able to use it. But I know it's out there. And I know that like, my hope is that like the, kids who want to write, kids who want to draw are finding, or kids who just want to talk about dragons all day are finding other kids like that. Last year we did these Fan Wing Fest days where it was like a whole day of activities. And like, I came and spoke and we get to take photos with them. But the whole point of it really was for them to meet each other, because every kid I meet at an event, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. Like, you give me so much hope for the world. Like, they all, like all these kids who like love reading, love storytelling, and have all their own ideas. Like, I just wanted them to meet each other and be like, I was like, look at all these other kids just like you that you could be friends with. So that's the kind of thing I love to do, is like, meet those kids and like hopefully help them find each other.
What you said about, again, books ultimately being about empathy, I'm pivoting back from dragons to dogs because, again, I notice often, dogs within my own neighborhood are like these bridges. The friends that I have in my neighborhood are because, we're people, dogs with dogs. And it's interesting because I will notice sometimes the way that we will approach a dog with empathy and kindness. And is it okay if I pet your dog? Oh, your dog is scared. Sometimes I think, my goodness, if as humans we could learn to approach one another that way, that would be lovely.
Well, I love that. Yeah.
Thanks. Well, with your dragons and, the world that you've built, it is sort of like, well, how do we make better sense of our reality actually through fiction? I wonder how writing for you has also been a way of making sense of the real world through dragons. Does that resonate with you?
Oh my gosh, so much. That's like a great question because I feel like writing is a form of therapy, for writers. Like it is a way to, at least for me, especially when I'm very stressed out about something, to take all of that like anxious energy and like put it into a book. And in particular, with like the recent books and with book 16, I feel like a lot of what I'm doing is, I wake up every day and I'm like, oh my God, the world is extremely stressful. There's so many big problems. Like, what can I do? Like, I feel like I spend a lot of time thinking about, am I making the world a better place? Like at all? Enough, what am I doing each day? Am I just watching television and not helping? What can I do? And so this book very much was, me working through that feeling that I think a lot of kids can relate to of like, well, the problems are so big and like the people in power are so entrenched and are doing things that are so cruel, but I'm just one little dragon. Like, how can I help? Like, what can I do? I don't know the answer to that. But what I wanted to do in the book is explore different possible answers. Each of the dragons that is like in this sort of community that is struggling with this are sort of answered in different ways, and they have like arguments about it. And I hope it like helps kids talk to the people in their lives about it too. And I think that there isn't one right answer. Some of the dragons, the answer is like, let's go fight the bad guys. But like, if you're 10, that's probably not the answer for you. Maybe the answer is just like, can you do something kind for someone in your neighborhood or for like your friend or your family? Can you make a piece of art that like brightens somebody else's day? Can you find someone who needs something and like give it to them? Can you just like pay attention to like your friend who needs help? And I think that that's all worthwhile. Those are all good answers. Like I want everyone, I want kids reading it, especially to feel like, even though the world feels overwhelming, like, and there's so many things that you can't do anything about, like you're still helping, you can still, like, everyone can help save the world a little bit. Like you're all making a difference. And like, just by being your own, like sweet, creative, kind, lovely self, like you're still making a difference. So that was very much what I was trying to work through. I was like, am I helping? What else can I do? And so Umber is wrestling with that in this book. And so there's a character named Platypus and and Quokka and Aurora. Like these are all characters that have different answers to that question as they're all wrestling with it. So definitely like me trying to work through some things.
Well, and I think it's fair to say, of course, that, in order for us as human beings to feel like we can solve our problems, we need more creativity. To be more creative, we need more creative fuel, which books are a great place to go to for that. Tui, I'm wondering, if you think back to yourself as an aspiring writer before you became the household name that you are, what advice would you give to the younger version of you who is just getting started, who is maybe kind of full of doubt? I'm guessing, a lot of aspiring writers talk about this idea of, is this good enough? Is this creative enough? Who am I to even try? What do you think a young aspiring writer, what words of wisdom might you offer them?
Sure. Oh, that's lovely. I know it is true. I think that like I think every author, even now, like I struggle with insecurity and like anxiety and like, will people like it? Is this the one they don't like? I think that's a normal feeling for authors. But I would say for young writers, especially, I would say that like, I want them to feel like a lot of art, like creating art has to do with confidence and just doing it anyway. Like it's okay if it's not perfect. Certainly when I was a kid, I loved writing stories, but I was terrible at finishing them. Like I would get excited about a different one and go start that one instead. And I want kids who have that experience to not feel discouraged. Like your first version doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be finished. Literally every writing you do is good practice. Like it's like learning an instrument. Like it'll get better and better. And like what you were talking about at the beginning about the idea of play, like my hope is that young writers will be doing it or writing because they love it, or writing because it makes them happy. It like, it helps them work through things in their lives that they're anxious about or things that they are excited about or things that they just like really want to get on the page. And so don't worry about like the business side of it yet. It's always out there. Like, how do I get published? And then what do I do next? And I think that like as a young writer, focusing on like the parts that give you joy, and the parts that made you want to be a writer in the first place. And I think coming back to that all the way through my career as well, like, why am I excited about this? Like, why did I start writing this? Has always been helpful to me to like get back into like why, whenever I'm feeling stuck on a book, it's like, well, what do I love about it? Like, who do I love in this book? How can I feel connected to it again? So I hope that helps. I mean, certainly like, and also keep reading. Like that's a big part for kids too. I think that like, as a young writer, the more you read, the more you figure out what you want to write, I think. So those are sort of the big pieces of advice I'd probably give.
Great pieces of advice. And my final question is going to bring us back to dogs. I hope that's okay. But I want to kind of, okay, great. I want to touch back onto, again, the idea of world building as a creative, because there are authors who, they kind of mirror a little bit more closely than you might, like, what I can actually go and observe. But to do something in the way that you do it, you need a level of creativity that is a little bit different. So the Doberman Pinscher won, the big dog show this year. And so hypothetically, Tui, if you can stay with me, let's say that your next project, instead of dragons, you're going to do a multi-series project about Doberman Pinschers. You need to build out a world in which it's just all Dobermans. They've taken over. They won the show and now they run the show. If I were going to get started drafting or even thinking to build out that world, where does an author like you start that process? What are you doing? What would we see you actually doing?
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful question. That's so interesting. And I actually think it's not that different from where I started with Wings of Fire, because I think a lot of people see Dobermans the same way they see dragons. They're like, oh, it's a scary thing. I don't understand it and it scares me. And so what we were saying about empathy, you can like, where I would start is like, well, not every Doberman Pinscher is the same. Like if I want to get inside these characters, these dogs and show how they're each different and like show how they like the feelings that they have. And so where I would totally start is like taking 5 Dobermans and putting them in a room together and saying like, how are you each different from each other? Like, how am I going to build a character around, especially like, I would be like, what were your families like? What was your puppyhood like? How did it change the kind of dog that you are? How did it make you, like, are you a dog that like has to act scary, but is like, nervous on the inside? Are you like actually that confident, but you, maybe like but doubt will creep in like over the course of our getting to know you? Are you like an extremely cheerful Doberman that nobody understands because you're just so happy all the time and they're like, I don't get it? That would totally be where I would start with this series, is I would be thinking about building like 5 different characters that show like the range of possibilities for the Dobermans and like how we can get inside them, and how they were each affected by their backgrounds and how they got to this place. So that's probably right. And then I would want to explain like why this world is full of Dobermans. And I would start thinking about the whole history of it and like, are there other kinds of dogs? What happened to them? And how do they interact with each other? And are there humans in this world? Are they, do they just, oh my gosh, so many questions. See, like, you've gotten me excited. Like, what I love to do is make lists of questions that have to do with the world building. And then like figuring out the answers is the really fun part.
I mean, now I selfishly, I want you to write it. Like, I'm glad we talked about it, because actually I feel like I would definitely read a 50-book series about even just what you touched on and described. Thank you so much, Tui, for taking the time.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. These were like very thought-provoking questions and I love it so much. So thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you. From dogs to dragons and everything in between. We look forward to continuing to follow your series. And thank you again for just really giving us a community to be a part of, a community to rally behind. And again, for modeling, like, creativity is so important, and we can take time to embed it in our lives, just one page at a time.
Aw, yeah. Thank you, Trisha.
If you're a school leader right now, AI probably feels complicated. You don't want to panic, you don't want to ignore it, and you definitely don't want to lose staff trust by making the wrong call too fast. Great leaders we talk to aren't asking, what AI tools should we use? They're asking instead, how do I lead this well?
Here's the reframe that's helped a lot of schools slow things down in a productive way. AI literacy isn't a rollout problem, it's a leadership puzzle. The schools that are struggling most don't lack policies or platforms. What they're missing is a shared way of thinking when the answers aren't clear yet.
That's exactly why we built a framework we call BAKE. It's not a checklist. It's a mindset-first framework that helps leadership teams make calm, consistent decisions, even while the technology keeps changing, because it is going to keep changing.
BAKE stands for balance, adaptability, knowledge sharing, and empathy. These 4 mindsets give schools shared language, so teachers aren't guessing and leaders aren't constantly putting out fires.
And here's the good news. We start the way all great learning starts, with questions. In your next conversation, you might want to ask, are we balancing learning and responsibility? Are we staying adaptable? Are we sharing what we're learning? And are we leading with empathy?
You don't need perfect answers to lead AI well. You need a steady leadership stance. BAKE gives schools that stance, so AI literacy becomes thoughtful, humane, and sustainable. This work is supported through Shifting Schools alongside K-12 leaders who want to move forward together without panic and without pretending this is simple. If this sounds like you, you're not behind, you're doing the work of leadership. And we hope that you join us for some BAKE sessions coming soon.